Now, earlier today, Sir Keir Starmer laid out his vision for the country with 6 key policies, describing them as the first steps towards Labour's bigger plans. Well, amongst the pledges were a promise to create 40,000 more hospital appointments each week and recruit over 6,000 more teachers. However, critics say he has scaled back the national missions that he set out last year. Well, our political editor, Christopher Hope, caught up with Sir Keir earlier on today, and here's what he had to say.
Keir Starmer, thanks for talking to GBNews. What is this? Is it a pledge card?
It is the first steps towards the delivery of the missions that I've set out, which will transform this country and take it forward for everybody, for their families, their communities. So it's the first steps, the down payment, if you like, on the change that we want to bring about for the country, change that's desperately needed.
Thank you. Then number 3, launch a new border security command. You're not saying stop the boats. You're not talking about the outcomes, just how you're going to do it. Why is that hopeful for people who want to deal with legal migration?
I want to be really clear. Nobody but nobody should be making that journey across the Channel in a small boat. This government has lost control of our borders, and that is a serious challenge for any government or would-be government. The question is, how do you respond to that challenge? I think that we can smash the vile gangs that are running this trade. That are making a fortune putting people into boats and breaching our border security. I'm not prepared to put up with that, and that's why I think the serious answer is to smash the gangs. A gimmick such as Rwanda, which cost a fortune and removes less than 1% of those arriving by a small boat, is not going to work. So here's a contrast with the government. I want to tackle a very real problem with a serious response. I'm not interested in gimmicks.
Do you worry there's lack of sunny-up plans in this? It's all a bit vague and a bit unclear, even on deadlines. There's no deadlines for these first step pledges.
If I think of the people who are on a waiting list at the moment, I referenced a woman in a service station that I met who desperately needs an eye operation. She just wants that operation. This will be the sunny uplands for her because it lifts a huge burden off her. So that's the practical delivery that she's looking for. People who need the stability of the economy so that they can afford a house to live in. A fireman I was talking about in Milton Keynes, he's got 3 jobs and he can't afford a house. The sunny uplands for him is having a roof over his head that is his own. And, I think perhaps because of my background, I understand what ordinary hope is. It is about being able to get on in life, realise your aspirations and your opportunity. Tito, who was talking about her teachers. These are the sunny uplands. This is the hope that people have. It's the hope my parents had, which is, despite the ups and downs of life, the comfort of knowing your children will have better opportunities and future. And we need to get that hope back, but we'll only do it with tangible steps on the road to big change in our country through the missions.
Number 1 of these first steps, deliver economic stability. No mention of cutting taxes, even in the small print, no mention of cutting taxes. Why not?
Well, because wherever we have said we will raise taxes, we've set out what we'll raise and what we'll spend the money on. So what you did hear this morning is that we're going to get rid of the tax break for private schools and use that money for the teachers we need in our state secondary schools. What you did hear is we're going to get rid of the non-dom status properly and use that money towards reducing waiting lists. The tax burden on people is as high as it's ever been under this government. This has been the tax rising government of all time. I mean, Rishi Sunak is the expert's expert when it comes to tax rises. I don't think that's the way forward. What we need to do is pull a different lever, and that is economic growth. That will only come with economic stability. That's why it's step 1.
And then tax cuts might come when you've got the growth, is the point, I suppose.
Well, look, I want the burden on working people, as far as tax is concerned, to be as low as possible. I won't shy away from that. But I do know that we have to grow the economy to ensure that living standards across the country improve, which is so desperately needed.
Your opponent, the Prime Minister, said on Monday that you're someone who backed Jeremy Corbyn in 2019, a left-wing politician. Now you're backing Natalie Elphicke, a right-wing politician. What do you stand for? Do you stand for anything? Are you that desperate to get into power, you'll back all these different people from different parts of the political view?
Well, I would gently remind the Prime Minister that Jeremy Corbyn will not stand as a Labour candidate at the next election. This is a changed Labour.
You backed him in 19.
he is not able to say the same about his predecessor, who smashed the economy, and working people are paying the price. If he was serious about the future, he would ensure that Liz Truss wasn't a candidate at the next election, but he's too weak to do that. So I've led from the front. I've changed my party. This is a party back in the service of working people. What we are now seeking, humbly seeking, is the opportunity to change the country and put the country back in the service of working people.
And are you the heir to Tony Blair?
Well, look, ever since I've been Labour leader, people have tried to sort of box me into being a previous Labour leader. Tony Blair was a fantastic leader. He won 3 elections, and there was huge change under the last Labour government. But that was 27 years ago. The challenges now are different, and I have to lead my party, and I hope, humbly, to lead the country to deal with the challenges we now face, so that with a Labour government, people can genuinely say, I'm actually better off. My family, my community, my country is moving forward.
And just finally, I read you're good at football. I see pictures of it. Would you prove it to GBNews viewers? Maybe even my colleague Martin Daubney, who plays amateur football in his spare time, and by doing 100 keepy-uppies on camera?
No.
Because you can't.
No, only a fool would commit to that.
Keir Starmer, thank you for joining us today on GB News. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.